as there is a great deal to do and a lot of deadlines to meet. It culminates in budget hearing tonight and submission of the final budget to the county superintendent tomorrow. So, what we want to do tonight is basically three things. Review the budget priorities, give an overview of the revenues, the tax impact, and the expenditures, and review the budget timeline. In the budget, we focused on these four areas. Maintaining programs is always where we want to start, and then we want to look at where are we enhancing and adding to the experiences of for the Westampton students. We're going to go through each one of these, so I don't need to read those off to you. In curriculum and instruction, we've had committees of middle school teachers looking at our mathematics curriculum and the instructional materials that support it. We've also had middle school social studies teachers doing the same thing. In essence, the teachers are getting together, reviewing the New Jersey state standards, student learning standards for their subject, and reviewing the materials that we currently have for student and teacher use to ensure that those materials support the goals of the curriculum. Should those committees look to enhance, add to, supplement, or even replace some of the materials that we're currently using, that's why it's part of the budget process. In addition to that, we're looking to enhance or add some of our curricular options. This year, in the 18-19 budget, we added a STEM class in the middle school. We've learned a lot this year, and we've used the year to kind of get an idea of where we want to go next. So we have budgeted some funds to support that so that program can expand. We want to take a good look at our gifted and talented programs, how we support our students with their special academic gifts. And we also put an emphasis on social and emotional learning and support. From a technology standpoint, we want to continue the enhancements at Holly Hill School to ensure that they have the technology available to them that they need. A great deal of that technology at Holly Hills is reinforced with two things. One, iPads as a supplement to the classroom, not in a one-to-one setting, and some Chromebooks for the upper elementary grades. In grades 4 through 8, we will continue to ensure that there is a device available for every student all day, every day, when it is needed. We have just a couple of outlier places. For the academic areas, they are always available now, but we still have a couple of outlier places where we want to add some more. We also need to continue to support the infrastructure that allows those Chromebooks to be cruising along. If you know the difference between a Chromebook and a laptop or a desktop, the Chromebook is relatively useless without a connection to the internet. Well, it is useless without a connection to the internet. It's paperweight without a connection to the internet. So as we have hundreds of students connecting to the internet at any given time, our infrastructure is always being tested. The highlight of the 1920 budget is the completion of a multi-year plan to have 5 sections at every grade level. The plan was going into the 18-19 budget that over the course of 3 years we would add staff so that we could have 5 sections at every grade level. That is a magic number for a couple of reasons. One is our student population has been relatively stable. It is slowly increasing. It doesn't go down very often, but it does increase each year by a small amount, a manageable amount. And So that number is a number that we feel comfortable that we're going to fall between 100 and 120 students in a grade level. That's been pretty consistent if you look historically over the last 7 or 8 years. With those numbers, if you have 5 sections of every grade level, you are looking at 20 to 24 students in a class. Now that fluctuates on a couple of reasons, especially when you get to the middle school and scheduling gets tricky. But in general, you're looking at, when you have 5 sections, you can manage 100 to 120 students in a grade level, which is where we've been, and hit very nice class sizes of 20 to 24. Many of those class sizes will be 22 or less if looking at our current student population. If everybody just got promoted to grade level, we'd be looking at 4 or 5 grade levels of 20 to 22 next year, maybe one of 23 and one of 24. Currently, we have, 2 years ago, we had 4 grade levels. Almost half our grade levels only had 4 sections. And if you had a student in any of those sections, or if you taught any of those sections, I see some staff members out there, you know that you were looking at 26, 27, 29. We even hit 30 in a couple of sections in the middle school, and we don't want to go back there. So we had a 3-year plan with the board's support and some good fiscal work. We managed to do it in 2 years. We added 2 sections last year. We're adding 2 more sections this year with the addition of a 3rd and 4th grade classroom. One at Holly Hills, obviously, one at the intermediate school. We'll have 5 sections of every classroom. The other reason that's a magic number is that's it for space. If we ever need a 6th, we'll be having a different discussion in the budget meeting, because we're literally out of room at this point. But fortunately, we don't need to go to 6 as we are now. So as long as they don't come in with a 300 housing unit, we should be good. Picking up 5, 10, 12 students a year will be fine. We also will be adding additional special education classrooms at Holly Hills and at the intermediate school to continue to provide for our special education population. Professional development continues to be a goal, and we're going to stop calling it professional development. We're going to start calling it professional learning, because we all continue to learn every day, and that is incredibly important for the people that we put in front of your children and the people who are behind those people that we put in front of your children. That we are constantly learning and constantly challenging ourselves to find new and better ways to support the students in Westampton. So next year's focus is going to be a commitment on the district's part to teacher leadership. We have a great deal of quality instructors in our hallways in all 3 of the schools. We also have an untapped potential of real quality leadership within those classrooms. Teachers that can help other teachers get better, teachers that can challenge other teachers, teachers that have answers that we don't have, that can help the administrators learn and grow. And we want to give them the opportunities to take on some leadership roles and enhance the schools that way. As I said, we'll continue to push the bar on professional learning, and we have a great deal of quality technology in the district, and we want to make sure that we are using it to its most effectiveness. Most effectiveness is not a good sentence, but you know what I'm saying. To the best we can for our students. Along the lines of security, we have a few initiatives for security that are in the budget. We have some staff training that has to do with the new software system that is at the bottom of the list. But we have worked closely with Chief Ent and the police department. The police department involvement with our drills has increased this year, will continue to increase next year. We have a calendar of events being put together for our drills for next year, to to practice our procedures, and the police are going to be more intimately involved in those drills. Over the spring break, the police department used this building to train some of their own new officers who weren't familiar with the school's layout, and did a practice drill where they had to find an intruder in the building. They did it without any kids or staff in the building over spring break, but it gave the new officers an opportunity to move through the hallways and get a feel for it other than just looking at a map. We have some new technology. I sat down with the chief of police and the fire marshal, and we looked at a new software program that the police are using, that we provided certain information to where they're going to be able to respond more efficiently in our buildings if there were a crisis. Our hallways will be color-coded. The numbers of our classrooms will make a great deal of sense, so that an officer responding to a crisis can simply say, down the red hallway, turn on blue hallway room 3, which will be a lot easier than currently looking at the map and trying to navigate through. And from a technology standpoint, that information is on portable devices that every officer has in their car, and I believe every emergency responder does from the fire department. The new software system increased response time is what the staff training will be on. We have a new program called Navigate Prepared that we will be working on next year, which allows us to account for every student in the building in a very quick response and recognize quickly if we have any students missing. It also will allow for communication, discrete communication between administration and teachers and the police via essentially a chat feature within the software, so that we can be alerted to other problems. It also will help us drill in different ways than we currently drill to prepare for any crisis that may come up. So of course we are very excited about what we're going to do, and when we're going to do things, it has a cost associated to it. So there's a lot of numbers up there, the ratables and the breakdown of the tax levy. If we have questions moving forward, Mr. Blake will help me answer them. But to hit the highlights, I would go down to the bottom right-hand corner, which is the total tax assessed on the average household in Westampton. The average household in Westampton. Where do we get that number from? Did we get that from the township?
Yeah, but it's a calculation based on your total ratables.
Okay.
Correct.
So the average household in Westampton is listed as $241,160, and the total tax on an average household next year would be $2,232.29. That is a $96.01 increase. More numbers. The highlighted number is the average household there, but also there are other ranges of household. $150,000 home assessment would have a $4.80 per month increase in taxes, or $57.60 for the year. Again, the average was $92.61, which comes out to $7.72 a month. A $600,000 house at the top end, $19 a month, or $230 increase for the year on the top end of this one, of that chart. The expenditures, where's the money going? In 2019-2020 budget, you can see you probably guess where the biggest chunks come out of. The instructional program, of course, is where the rubber meets the road for a school district. That's what we do, and it costs the most money, and it produces all the results. Between the instructional program And special education, that's almost $11 million of the 12, 13, 14, $16 million or so budget. Our budget timeline, we finished our preliminary budget on March 18th. That had to be submitted to the county superintendent by March 20th. The county reviewed our budget. They made comments. They sent something back to us and then approved it. Our public hearing is today, and we have to have it submitted back to the county with the board approval by Wednesday. So we will do that tomorrow. That there is the 1920 school year. Again, I'm looking forward to what we are going to be able to accomplish next year. I'm really excited about the 5 sections of every grade level. I'm really excited about the additional special education classrooms. I think the quality of program here in Westampton continues to get better and better. And if you read the newspapers and you watch what's going on around in some surrounding districts, they're having some of them are having some tough times, and we're really in good shape. There's certainly more things to do. Come 2021 budget time, when we'll talk about what's next and what more can we do. We really want to expand the opportunities for all of our students in Westampton, and we keep taking pretty good steps forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We do not have to go into executive at this time, so we're going to move to number 8, public comment on agenda items only. Yes. Which category, right?
Yes.
Yes, so if anyone has any questions on the agenda or the presentation you just heard, we're open for comments at this time. Okay, so we're moving to action items. Could I have a motion to approve to adopt the 2019-2020 school district budget?
Move.
Second.
Are there any questions on 8181? Any questions on the budget? Roll call.
Mrs. Applegate?
Yes.
Mrs. DiNardo?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Dr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. For 8182, could we have a motion for an approval of request for district taxes?
Second.
Any questions on the taxes? Roll call.
Mrs. Applegate?
Yes.
Mrs. DiNardo?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Dr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving to district department quarterly reports, we're going to start with the middle school report. Mr. Andrews.
Good evening. Starting with some really exciting news. Last Wednesday, we had a group of students compete in the Holy Cross math competition. And just going to read their names real quick, because it's some pretty amazing things. Nick Maston, Steve Asari, Austin Kraft, Hannah Prowser, Amadi Mambuso, Dylan Selby, Aiden Selby, and Rosalina Garcia. Out of 18 teams, they finished second. And individually, Aiden Selby finished second out of 72 participants, and Nick Maston finished third out of 72. I also want to thank Mrs. Cian Prone and Ms. Crass for one, accompanying them on the trip. That was the after school hours. And two, for preparing them for the experience, both in the classroom and while they were on the trip. Also last week we had our JMUN, Junior Model United Nation trip to Temple. And we had 7th grade trip, which started at the Liberty Science Museum and then went to the Link. And it's a pretty cool trip, especially the Link Park. All the years I finally got to go to one of them, and it was really cool to see this little trophy. But really a shout out to Mrs. Donnelly and the 7th grade teachers for preparing the trip, and also just a real safe environment, and I think the kids really enjoyed it. Also on Friday we had Fabian Ramirez, an assembly with grades 6 and 8. So I want to thank Mr. Doyle for putting that together. He was very funny, but very educational. And to the part that I got to watch, the kids were really engrossed in the conversation. Well, 5 was there also. Oh, they were on the floor, right? Sorry. Actually, I think 6 was on the floor too. Today, we had a staff meeting, and we had PLC groups, which means teachers study in groups throughout the course of the year, and they present to their colleagues. And one thing that I thought was really cool was one group had done taking a Word doc and making it a Google doc in just a couple clicks of the mouse. And I've never seen that before, and it moves over flawlessly, whether it be an Excel spreadsheet or a Microsoft doc, but it was really neat to see that. So they're sharing the ideas and the stuff they learned during the course of the year. Of course, we have staff appreciation this week, so I want to thank the PTO for sponsoring that, and the goodies that are in the lunchroom, in the staffer lounge. Also, the PTO sponsored the Fabian Ramirez Assembly on Friday, so we really appreciate them doing that. Things coming up, we have the Student Showcase on Friday the 17th, a National Honor Society meeting the 22nd, 6th grade trip the 23rd, 8th grade's looking forward to their dance on the 24th, and the end of the month is just full of stuff. Spring concert on the 28th, Student Council trip to Six Flags on the 29th, Law Day on the 30th, and on the 31st, we have a group of students going to the Trills and Thrills music trip. In June, 8th grade, again, we have an awards dinner or ceremony, June the 5th, which is a Wednesday, and their trip is the 7th, which is a Friday to Clemens Park. And of course, we have field day on the 10th. So I know Mr. and Mrs. York, you're busy putting that together. I think that's it.
Great, thank you. And the HIB report as well?
There were no new HIB since the last meeting.
No, okay, thank you. And the intermediate school report, Dr. Feldman?
It's a fun time of year. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. We have a field trip this Friday. Hopefully the weather holds out for us. To Camp Dark Waters in Medford. That's for 5th grade. Next Friday, we have the 4th grade going to the Old Barracks Museum and the State House in Trenton, which ties together with their 4th grade unit in Social Studies on New Jersey. Next week on Thursday, the 16th, we have our spring concert and art exhibit. So that's our chorus, our instrumental groups playing, and the kids have done an enormous amount of artwork this year with Mrs. Greavy, and she's getting it all ready to display it. So that's pretty exciting. The kids are excited to see their work up. The student council at the intermediate school, I'm working with them, and I asked them what they wanted to do this spring for a community service project, and we tossed around a lot of ideas. I was really impressed with all of the different things they came up with to participate in or help out their community. And in the end, it was their choice, and they really wanted to support the Westampton Police K-9 unit. So we're going to do a little fundraiser for that and raise some money. They'll do a coffee cart that they'll take around to the staff in this building and sell some breakfast goodies, and then take those proceeds and donate them to the K-9 unit. So they're real excited about that. That's 4th and 5th grade student council members. And then we have a 5th grade ice cream social coming up for the 5th grade to celebrate the end of their elementary, experience and moving down the hall to 6th grade to the middle school. If you recall, we often did a pool party with the 4th grade at the end of the year. Well, this group had that pool party at the end of last year, so we're taking a year off from the pool party. The PTO wanted to do an ice cream social for them, and then next year we'll get it started again with the 5th grade going to Turnsfield. That's a really nice relationship we have with the swim club, and continuing that. So those are our plans coming up, and of course we have field day on June 10th, and awards assemblies and other stuff from here till the end of the year. So it's real exciting.
Great, thank you. Holly Hill School Report, Mrs. Murray.
We just had our fine cards night this past Thursday. We have a recorder club that was started at Holly Hills this year, so some 3rd grade students played a selection of songs on the recorder. Our 3rd grade chorus presented. 2nd grade had ceramics on display, 2nd and 3rd grade in the foyer. And the whole school was full of student work from things that they were doing in the classroom. We call that our curriculum showcase. So that was a great night. Our volunteer and community service club started with some 3rd grade students today, and they're going to do some work from now through the end of the school year. Thanks also to the PTO for all the treats they're providing this week. I have Principal for a Day. A student's going to join me on May 16th. It was won at the basket auction with the PTO, so that's exciting. We have kindergarten screenings coming up May 16th and May 22nd, so it's nice to see the next class of kindergarten students coming into the building. On May 17th, we have a PTO-sponsored dance for K through 3, a luau dance. On May 23rd, the third graders are going to come and visit the intermediate school so they can get a feel for what the building looks like and what their experience is going to be, so that's exciting. We have our second grade concert coming up on May 30th and field day on May 31st. And I know that's a lot, and that's just May. And June is packed with some more activities to follow, so
Great.
it's
Thank
busy
you.
time of year.
Yeah, thank you. Special Services Report, Mrs. Zitter.
Okay, the child study team is finishing up their annual reviews. Should be finalizing programs for next year by the end of the month. We're also structuring our extended school year program, which will be held at Holly Hills this year. So we're working on numbers for that and getting that also. Also, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I did upload a newsletter to the child study team website on Westampton website. And that's the topic, Mental Health Awareness Month, so take a read.
Great, thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Petrozelli.
Thank you. I talked enough tonight, but I do have a couple of things I want to do. And it was part thinking about it. I should have said it while I was doing the budget presentation. But between the things, the changes last year, and what we're looking forward to next year, in addition to being designated a highly proficient school district by the state of New Jersey, I really wanted to give a shout out to just about everybody, because things are really moving in a great direction. The community's been incredibly supportive. The PTO is just a great organization. The school board has been very supportive in the things that we want to try to accomplish. The teachers are rallying behind new ideas and with some new energy, and the administration is always there to have everybody's back and keep the ball moving. I know it's a one big pat on the back for everybody in the room, but let's take it. These things are going pretty good. I did want to. We're going to get to formal approvals later in the agenda, but I did want to point out, if Karen, would you just stand and give us a little wave, please? That's Karen Greer up there. We're going to be asking to approve her tonight as our board secretary, starting July 1, with Tracy McGuire retiring. Where is Tracy, you say? St. Thomas, I said. I thought it was June 30th she was retiring, but she's taking a little quick shot. I also want to introduce to everyone Yashanta Holloway Talui. Yashanta, you want to stand up and give us a little wave there? Thank you very much. Yashanta later in the agenda will be asking to approve as our new middle school principal for next year. In the event, I mean, I certainly hope you won't miss it, but in the event Mr. Andrus has something to do on the last board meeting of his Westampton career, I don't want to miss the opportunity to say that, Mr. Andrus, it has been a great pleasure working with you. I've enjoyed working with you. I have learned from you, and I wish you all the best in the world.
Was my last one?
No, you have one more, and I'll say it again if you come.
I missed the St. Thomas.
Just in
demo, so-
case.
Thank you.
And lastly, I got a letter today that read, the Burlington County Education Association's annual gala is a celebration of education. It recognizes the contribution of our fellow public school employees, district administrators, community members, students, and legislators. This year's theme allows us to place the spotlight on the importance of building connections beyond the classroom. Congratulations, I'm writing to let you know that the committee has chosen Jennifer Murray as this year's recipient, Burlington County Educational Association Administrator Award. Great, I am all done, sir.
Great. Facilities report. Anybody? Any report from
I got nothing.
St. Thomas?
Mike, you got anything?
Can't top St.
Things
Thomas.
are the same.
Exactly. All right, there's no correspondence at this time. We're going to move to our Board of Education committee reports. We're going to start with a motion to combine 11A1 to 11A14. There's 3 items on your addendum sheet. So, motion to combine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries. 11A1 is for the payment of bills. 11A2 is for the payment of cafeteria account bills. 11A3 is for the approval of tenured certified staff. 11A4 is for the approval of non-tenured certified staff. 11A5 is for the approval of non-tenured support staff. 11A6 is for the approval of administrative staff salaries. 11A7 is for the approval of non-aligned staff appointments for the 19-20 school year. 11A8 is for the approval of Michael Blake's contract. 11A9 is for the approval of a long-term sub for the intermediate school. 11A10 is for approval of a letter of resignation of Mr. Andrus. 11A11 is for the approval of the school board secretary for the 19-20 school year. And then on the addendum, 11A12 is for the approval of a resignation of a Holly Hills teacher. 11A13 is for the approval of a resignation of an intermediate teacher. And 11A14 is for the approval of a Westampton Middle School principal. Are there any questions on these 14 items? Any questions on those 14 items? 11B and 11C are curriculum, or 11B or curriculum community committee has nothing to report at this time, and our legislative policy committee has nothing to report at this time as well. There are no information items. 12B, our enrollment report for April 2019 was in your email or your book. 12C, fire security drills are listed as below. 12D, suspensions for April 2019 was in your email or book. 12E, student action items are none at this time, and 12F, there are no reports at this time as well. So for 12G1, could we have a motion to approve the facilities use calendar for WMS and Holly Hills?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. 12G is for the approval of summer work hours. Do we have a motion for approval for summer work hours?
Second.
That's roll call, right? Roll call. Oh, sorry. We did.
Jim Bernard, Mr. Bernard, who else?
It was me and Chris.
Sorry about that.
That's what I should roll
Mrs. Applegate?
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
call. Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Dr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. For 13A, the reports of the school business administrator and board secretary, there is no information items for 13A. 13B, monthly attendance report for April 2019 is in your email or back of your book. 13C, cafeteria report for March 2019 is in your email or back of your book. 13D, building inspection reports, there is none at this time, which takes us to 13E, or action items. And I'd like a motion to combine 13E1 to 15A1.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries. 13E1 is for the monthly reports of the board secretary and treasurer. 13E2 is for the mileage reimbursement. 13E3 is for the approval of the joint transportation agreements. 14 is there's no unfinished business. And 15A1, new business, is the approval of substitute teachers, support staff, and custodians. Are there any questions on those items? Any questions? Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Applegate?
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo?
Yes.
Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Dr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. At this time, we're going to move to public comment on non-agenda items only. Public comment on non-agenda items only. Step up, I'm going to read the spiel real quick. It is anticipated that before addressing the board, individuals have given the appropriate school district staff an opportunity to address all issues and questions. Questions and/or comments should be directed to the board president and/or the superintendent. The total allotted time for public comment is 15 minutes. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes of comment time. In an effort to ensure that each speaker is given the full 3 minutes of comment time, please complete your statement and/or ask all questions and indicate you are done, and we just need your name and address.
Pam Overton, 1 Devonshire Drive. It was about 5 weeks ago that my daughter, who is in the 3rd grade at Holly Hills, was actually assaulted by another student. It was fairly handled at best. you did call me, so that was good. Maddie's, well, I said her name, but most people know who we are, so her feelings weren't taken into consideration. You told her how she felt that day. I came to talk to you the following Monday. One of your comments to me was, you did apologize for the way the meeting went originally, but you said that you weren't mentally prepared to go into a meeting with me. If my husband had done that, and he has been at General Motors for over 20 years, he would have been fired for even admitting that in a meeting or in a telephone call at all. I came before the board last month to find out what your policy was on assault. It was also brushed off that this was just one student rubbing up against another. I spoke with Maddie again at length about it, and I asked her, considering we had the third grade concert, how far away she was from that student, because as a part of 1 through 6, she's supposed to be far away, and that student is supposed to have an aide. That didn't happen that night. So we've already violated what we put into practice on her 1 through 6 items on her IEP. So we need to have it, obviously, and so I'm going to say in public,
Ma'am, could you please address us?
we need to have another meeting. So you had sent me an email stating that things were handled, and they were handled according to the district. You said that a specific code was done, several instances of sexual harassment were covered. You never told me to go to the police. I went to the police on my own. Nobody ever told me what her rights were. You protected the rights of the other student, but you didn't protect the person who was assaulted. And if you don't know, a child actually reached over in a row. Maddie was wearing a Gap 100% cotton dress. It was lifted up. It was not rubbed against. And she turned around and took her dress back. If I had gone to the email that you sent me the last time that we were here, you said that it was addressed at administration code reporting students or staff to law enforcement authorities. You never told me that, sir. I did that on my own. I protected Maddie, but you should have protected her too. And it's very difficult for me to trust when we can't get past the first issue. I would have addressed this letter to you, but I'm afraid that I will continue to be shoved to the side. And that is my concern, is that we continue. I asked Maddie about the concert. She said to me, autistic kids are put in the back row. If I was a mother of an autistic student, I'd be horribly upset by that comment. And she had to have that comment come from somewhere, because she's only 9. She wouldn't have come to it on her own. But one more time, you put her in a position where she has to protect herself. We didn't follow the rules that we put in for her IEP. I called a special meeting. We had the rules sitting. Everybody who was there signed their names. I'm trying very hard to be reasonable, but I'm kind of at my end rope. I don't know what to do anymore. Because we listed things that we were going to do. Those things have been violated. You sent me an email stating that you go with the state's code or Westampton code, but you, sir, never told me. And Ms. Murray, you never told me to go to the police. I did it on my own.
Ma'am, just for a point of clarification, you had asked me about sexual assault policy, and I was not referring to the steps that we felt needed to be taken in an individual instance. I was giving you what policy was in place, what procedures were in place, and an overview of where that is covered, whether it happened in middle school or...
Those policies weren't done, sir. The police were not called that day.
I understand that.
And according to you, that's in your policy.
The only reason that the police were not called that day is that we did not come to the conclusion that a sexual assault had taken place.
But according to the
And
definition,
I believe that the police agreed with that.
they actually didn't believe with that.
That's what I was told, that the police felt that it was
That's not what they said.
Okay, I'm telling you what they told me. So it was, we did follow up with the police, And
I
then-
followed the police. I went over and took Maddie. I had her
And after
sit there
that, I
and...
asked the police what their belief was, what
I
they
didn't-
felt we should do, and they told us that they felt we handled it correctly.
They thought that I handled it correctly because you never told me to get the police involved to begin with.
I just
I
didn't want
went to
you, I
Miss
didn't want you to
Murray
think
when-
that we didn't follow the policy.
You didn't follow policy
Only
for your own
because-
staff. You didn't even protect your own staff. They should have called the police immediately. It's their decision. If they don't have the training to handle it, you should be calling the police because they do. That's why I took her to see the police, because God forbid something more had happened, they have the instructions and guidelines to be able to handle it. It was told to me that day that you didn't have the background, that nobody knew how to handle this. So that's why I went. But we've already violated that. We've already violated Maddie's IEP because the first 6 things that we put in last week or last month were violated at the chorus. He's supposed to be at least 10 to 20 feet away from her. He's also supposed to have a staff person. He didn't, if Maddie didn't see it. And it was thanks to Mr. Andrus, who I respect greatly, and we are horribly going to miss you, that when I asked what I can do to give a voice to Maddie, Mr. Andrus said, teach her how to scream. She screams at home when her brothers and sister annoy the bejeebies out of her. So you taught her that day how to have a voice of her own, and I appreciate that because you didn't have to. You should have taught her that. That day, you weren't qualified to make the call.
And please address.
You weren't qualified. You're not qualified to make the call. You said that yourself. The police should have been called by you.
I didn't say we should have called.
Your staff never said it either. And
I just didn't want,
I
didn't want you to be confused that
I-
the policies that I sent you, I sent you in response to your question, your specific question about what are your policies, not
you didn't
implying
even
that that's
follow
what we
your
should.
own policy by
Because we
calling
didn't
the
believe they
police that day.
applied. We didn't believe they applied, and the police did
That's not
support
your
them.
decision because you don't have the qualifications to ask those questions. Nobody in the staff has that ability. So you should have left that up to the police to decide that day. And honestly, thank God for Mr. Andrus because he gave her back her voice. And to this day, Maddie goes into school, she goes to the guidance counselor's room, she waits until all the students are dismissed, and then she walks to her classroom. Why? Because she doesn't feel safe? That's a horrible thing to teach a 9-year-old. And I would have thought better by Westampton. I would have thought you did better. I'm horribly disgusted to know that I live in the district at this point. I trust Dr. Feldman, so I'm very sure that Maddie will have a voice in the 4th and 5th grade. But honestly, I can't wait till the end of the year. Because every day that I drop her off, I have to bite my fingernails, whether Maddie will be safe and whether you'll do the proper things to keep her safe. You didn't call the police that day, you thought it wasn't. But that's not your decision, because you don't have the qualifications to make that decision. You should have left that up to the police. I called the police that day. I took Maddie. You should have done that. You should have at least instructed me on what Maddie's rights were. It's just the fact that, honestly, I have a paralegal degree and I'm studying to be a lawyer, that I understood what Maddie's rights were. But any other parent, are you going to tell me you followed policy? Because I don't believe you. And that day, sir, when I met you, you yelled down the hallway and said, I've been doing this for 30 years. That just tells me the time that you've been doing it. But I don't know that you've been doing it well for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a public comment on non-agenda items only? Name and address, please.
Colin Ryan, on 15 Kings Road, Westampton. It was called to my attention on April 2nd that 2 6th grade students, they found documents stating that they were caused harm to a teacher. And shortly after, Officer Polite came to the school to investigate this and has an incident report. And I just wondered what, besides the 2-week suspension that you gave students for, threatening teacher safety, what do you do to really call attention to red flag situations like this?
If we want to talk about in general, not this specific incident, because we can't comment on other parents' children's, any specifics that took place in there. But we have a responsibility to protect our staff members, we have a responsibility to protect all of our students, we have a responsibility to educate every student that is eligible to come to Westampton schools.
So what would the consequences be for threatening the safety of the teacher?
I mean, an investigation was done, or investigation would be done, to keep it general. Investigation would be done. The determination as to whether or not the police should be involved has to be taken into account. The police can give us guidance about the severity that they believe is the incident. They can, if they wish to, kick it up to the prosecutor's office and get their opinion on it. We have procedures in school that we want to make sure that any student that is in our hallways has, that has any, say, red flags, as you say, that we have some assurances from a medical professional that they are not a danger to themselves or to others.
So psychoevaluation?
Is an option. Again, in general terms, each instance would be handled differently based on the investigation. But the end goal is that we are protecting the rights of everybody, including the accused, and our staff members are safe, and we can ensure that we're doing everything we can to keep kids and the staff safe in the building while providing the education to everyone that's eligible.
Okay. All right, thank you.
What was your address again, Mr. Ryan?
115 King Road.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items only? Public comment on non-agenda items only. Okay, thank you. For the board president's report, just want to congratulate our new hirees. So congratulations to both of you. We look forward to working with you. Even though, Matt, we know you'll be here next month, right? Maybe. Anyways, congratulations. So that's great for Burlington Township. I'm happy for you. Seems like a great fit. And we do appreciate the many years you served here. And I know you had a lot of great relationships with teachers and students and families. So, we'll definitely miss your presence. So thank you for that. And just thank you to all our administrators. Sounds like there's a lot of great stuff going on in the schools right now, so thank you again for all your hard work, Jen. Congratulations on your award as well. And with that, we do not need to go into executive, so no other business to come before the board. Call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.